Kitak walked through the long corridor of the Galactic Council station. His footsteps made quiet sounds on the metal floor. Everything around him was huge and shiny. The walls were made of materials he did not know. They glowed with soft blue light. He felt very small in this place. The Galactic Council chamber was ahead. Kitak knew what would happen inside. He had prepared for this meeting for many months. He was nervous, but he tried to hide it. His assistant Min-Hai walked beside him. She carried folders with information about Earth and the human race. Her face was serious and calm, but Kitak could see that she was also worried. When they entered the chamber, Kitak saw the council members sitting around a huge table. The table was so big that it would take 10 minutes to walk from one end to the other. The council members were not like humans at all. The Velshara sat on the left side. Their bodies were made of crystal. Light moved through them like water. They were beautiful, but also very strange. They did not move much. They were very quiet. Their eyes were like gems that watched everything. The Kethori sat on the right side. They looked like many creatures joined together as one. Their bodies had many parts that moved together without any sound. Kitaek had read that they were a collective consciousness. This meant that all the Kethori were connected as one mind. They thought as one, moved as one, and acted as one. The Marone sat in the middle. They had hard armor on their bodies like machines. They had many tools and devices coming out of their arms and backs. Their faces were covered with screens that showed numbers and information. They were very technical and smart. At the front of the chamber sat the head council, an old Velshara named Shekvor. He was very large, even for a Velshara. Light moved through his crystal body in slow, lazy patterns. He looked down at Kitak and Min-Hai without any real interest. "The humans have arrived," Shekvor said. His voice was like ice cracking. "Let us hear what these small creatures have to say." Kitak stepped forward. He took a long breath. He had planned these words many times. "Great council members," Kitak began. "I am Kitak, the representative of Earth and the human race. We have traveled very far to be here. We come to you as new friends to the galaxy. We want to join your community. We want to trade with you. We want to learn from your ancient wisdom. We offer our friendship and our alliance." He paused. He looked at each council member. None of them seemed to care very much. Min-Hai moved forward and gave them folders about human technology and achievements. The papers showed pictures of human cities, human inventions, and human science. Min-Hai spoke about how far humans had come in only a short time. She told them about human art, music, and literature. The Marone looked at the papers with their scanning devices. One of them made a small sound that might have been laughter. The Velshara looked away. The Kethori seemed to have already made a decision before Kitak even spoke. Finally, Shekvor spoke again. "We have reviewed your request. The Council has voted. Humanity will be accepted into the galaxy community. However, you will receive only basic trading rights. You will have no seat on the main council. You will be listed as small species with limited potential. You are tiny and innocuous. You have no military power. You have no advanced technology that we do not already have. You are very young in terms of civilization development." The Velshara council member added in a cold voice, "Your biological forms are weak. You live for such a short time. How can we trust a species that dies before we finish a single thought?" Another Marin laughed openly. "Look at them. They are so small. They move so slowly. They must breathe air every few seconds or they fall apart. They are nothing like us." Kitak felt his face become hot. He wanted to say something angry. He wanted to tell them about human courage and human creativity. But he knew this was not the time. Min-Hai put her hand on his arm gently. She was telling him to stay calm. Shekvor continued. "The council decision is final. Humanity is accepted as a minor species. You may trade simple goods. You may travel between our worlds with permission. You may not vote on council matters. You may not own military ships. You will stay in the observation areas during important meetings. We will give you this decision in writing. You are dismissed." The council members turned away. The Velshara went back to looking at their crystal patterns. The Kethori returned to their silent group thoughts. The Marin returned to their machines and screens. Nobody looked at the humans again. Kataik and Minhai walked back through the long corridor. This time the corridor felt even longer. The beautiful blue light on the walls seemed to mock them. Every step felt heavy. Minhai's eyes were filled with tears, but she did not let them fall. "This is not fair," Minhai whispered. "I know," Kataik said, "but this is not the end. This is just the beginning." They reached the human delegation room. It was small and simple. The other human representatives were waiting. They had watched the meeting on a small screen. They already knew what happened. Kataik sat down and looked at all of them. Their faces showed disappointment and anger. He understood their feelings. "Listen to me," Kataik said slowly. "The council thinks we are weak and small. They think we have nothing to offer. They think we are harmless babies learning to walk." He paused. "But maybe this is good for us. Maybe this is an advantage." The other humans looked at him with confusion. "They will watch us, but they will not fear us. They will let us move and explore, but they will not stop us. They think we are nothing. This means they will not prepare for us. This means they will not see us coming." Minhai began to understand. A small smile appeared on her face. "We need to go home," Kataik said. "We need to make a plan. We need to show them what tiny and innocuous really means when they are not looking." That night, Kataik sent a secret message back to Earth. The message went to only one person, Captain Jiwan, the greatest military mind on the human world. The message said only 4 words: "They have underestimated us." Kataik knew that Jiwan would understand, and he knew that Earth was about to change the entire galaxy. But nobody else knew this yet. The council sat in their great chamber, thinking about their next meeting. The Velshara, the Kethori, and the Maron believed the matter was finished. They had made a mistake, but they would not understand this until it was too late. Captain Jiwan stood in the military command center on Earth. This was a secret place. Very few people knew about it. It was built deep underground, hidden from the sky. Jiwan was tall and strong. Her eyes were sharp and smart. She had spent 30 years learning how to fight and how to think like a warrior. When she received Kataik's message, she understood immediately. The council did not believe in humans. They did not think humans could be dangerous. This was perfect. This was exactly what Jiwan had always known would happen. She called a special meeting. Only 10 people came to the secret room. These were the best military minds on Earth. They were experts in fighting, in technology and strategy, and in thinking of new ways to win battles. Jiwan looked at each of them. "The Galactic Council has rejected us," she said. Her voice was calm and strong. "They think we are weak. They think we are small and harmless. They will not watch us carefully. They will not prepare against us. This is our advantage." Young-Su spoke first. He was a tactical genius. His mind worked like a computer, but better. He could see 10 steps ahead in any battle. "What are you suggesting?" Young-Su asked. "I am suggesting that we use their own thinking against them," Jiwan said. "The old species of this galaxy have forgotten something. They have forgotten how to be unpredictable. They follow the same patterns every time. They use the same strategies. They think the same thoughts." Hyjin was the next person to speak. She was a brilliant engineer. Her hands could build anything. Her mind understood machines and science in ways that seemed like magic to normal people. "If we are going to fight the ancient civilizations, We need weapons and tools they do not expect, He-Jin said. We need to change the rules of war. Ji-won nodded. Exactly. And we have one advantage they do not have. We are human. We think differently. We feel differently. We act differently. Do-yeon, the warrior, stood up. She was the fastest and strongest person in the room. She had trained her whole life for battle. Her spirit was like fire. The Velshara are strong, but they are slow, Do-yeon said. The Cathori are smart, but they are connected together. If we hurt one part, the whole mind is confused. The Maron are technical, but they are machines. They follow programs. Yes, Ji-won agreed. But humans are alive in a way they have forgotten how to be. We adapt. We change. We feel. We create. These are not weaknesses. These are strengths. Nari was the last person to speak. She was a master of technology. She could break into any computer system. She could understand the languages of 1,000 worlds. I can learn their systems, Nari said. If we need to fight them with technology, I can find ways into their defenses. I can create confusion in their machines. Ji-won smiled. This was why she had called this meeting. These 4 people, Young-soo, He-jin, Do-yeon, and Na-ri, were the most talented humans on Earth. Together, they could do something no one had ever done before. I want to create a special unit, Ji-won said. A human fighting force that will be unlike anything the galaxy has ever seen. We will train in secret. We will develop new weapons and new tactics. We will wait for the right moment. And when that moment comes, we will show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. For the next 2 months, Ji-won worked with her team. They recruited the best soldiers from every country on Earth. They gathered the smartest scientists and engineers. They brought together artists and musicians and thinkers. Why? Because Ji-won understood something important. In human warfare, creativity was as important as strength. Young-soo taught the soldiers a new way to think. Instead of following a plan exactly, they learned to change their plan in the middle of battle. Instead of thinking 10 steps ahead, they learned to think 10 steps and also backward and also sideways. They learned that sometimes the winning move was the one no one expected. He-jin worked in the laboratories. She created weapons that changed their attack pattern every few minutes. She built machines that could think for themselves and make new choices. She designed tools that were simple but also very clever. Do-yeon trained the soldiers in physical combat, but she taught them something new. She taught them to use surprise and confusion as weapons. She taught them that sometimes losing was actually winning if it confused the enemy. Nari learned the computer languages of the alien species. She studied their systems and their defenses. She wrote codes that were not like normal codes. Her codes had art in them. Her codes had beauty. They were hard to understand because they were built on human emotion, not just logic. The soldiers trained day and night. They became tired, but they became also very strong. They learned to think in new ways. They learned that a small group of humans could do things that a large army of aliens could not do. One day during training, a young soldier named Tayo asked Do-yeon a question. Do you think we can really fight against the Velshara and the Cathori and the Maron? He asked. They are so old and so advanced. We are so young. Do-yeon looked at him. She smiled a little. The Velshara have been doing the same thing for 1 million years, Do-yeon said. They have forgotten how to be surprised. The Cathori all think the same thought. If we confuse their thought, the whole mind breaks. The Maron follow their programs. We can write new programs they do not expect. She put her hand on Tayo's shoulder. But most important, Do-yeon said, we are human. We are new. We are alive in a way they have forgotten. This is our strength. Ji-won watched the training from the high tower. She looked at her soldiers and her team members. She felt confident, she felt ready, but she also felt sad because she knew that not all of them would come back alive. She sent another secret message to Kitak. The message said, we are ready. We wait for the right moment. Back at the Galactic Council, no one knew about the secret training. No one knew about the new weapons. No one knew about the human soldiers learning to fight in new ways. The Council thought humanity was harmless. The Council thought humanity had no power. This was their mistake. G1 began to wait for the moment when the galaxy would need humans. She knew it would come. She knew that the old civilizations would face a problem they could not solve, and when that moment came, the humans would be ready. The galaxy did not know it yet, but its future was about to change. A strange sound came from the edge of the galaxy. It was like a scream, but not a scream. It was like a call, but also a warning. The Void Collective was waking up. For thousands of years, the scientists of the galaxy thought the Void Collective was dead. They were an ancient race that lived in the beginning of time. Nobody knew much about them. The old stories said they were like parasites. They ate other life forms. They destroyed civilizations. But all the ancient records said they were extinct. They were wrong. The Void Collective had been sleeping in the dark spaces between stars. They had been hidden where no one looked, but something had changed. They were hungry, and they were coming back. The first attack happened at a star system called Kepler-42. The system had 50 billion people living on many worlds. In one day, they were all gone. The Void Collective ships came like a black cloud. They covered the sky, and then the people were no longer there. The worlds were empty. The Council received this information with shock and fear. They had never faced the Void Collective. The old Velshara had fought them, but that was in the ancient times. The Velshara could not remember how they had beaten them before. The Keth Ori checked their collective memory, but the information was too old. The Moron looked in their databases, but the technology to fight the Void Collective was lost. Admiral Shekvor called an emergency meeting. Kitek was watching from the observation area when the news came. He felt Min Hai grab his hand tightly. The Void Collective attacked again and again. Each time, entire star systems were destroyed. Each time, the Council sent their greatest ships and their best warriors. And each time, they lost more soldiers than they killed parasites. The Void Collective was unlike anything the Council had ever fought. They did not follow any pattern. They did not think like normal creatures. They adapted so fast that new weapons only worked once. The second time, the parasites had already changed to defend against the same attack. The Velshara admiral named Shekvor sent message after message saying he needed more ships, more soldiers, more weapons. But there were not enough of these things. The Void Collective was too big. They kept growing, and they kept winning. Young Su was watching the battle reports from Earth. He understood something important. He sent a message to G1. The Void Collective is winning because they use a pattern, Young Su wrote. Every adaptation they make is logical. It is the same logic every time. But what if they faced something that was not logical? What if they faced something that did not follow patterns? G1 smiled when she read this. She understood. This was the moment they had been waiting for. The Kethori collective consciousness sent a message to all the species in the galaxy. The message was simple and clear. It said, "We need all available forces. We are losing. If we do not stop the Void Collective now, all life in the galaxy will be destroyed. Come to Kepler Station. Come with all your ships. Come with all your soldiers. Come now." Kitek received a message from Earth. It was from G1. It said, "Tell the Council we will send our forces. Tell them our best soldiers are ready." The Council did not believe humans could help, but they were desperate. They said yes to any help, even help from tiny humans. G1 prepared her best soldiers for the journey to Kepler Station. Duyan looked at the 100 warriors who had been chosen. They were the strongest, the fastest, and the most clever. But she knew that maybe only half of them would return. Doyan did not tell them this. Instead, she said, "We are going to show the galaxy what humans can do. We are going to do the thing they do not expect." We are going to be unpredictable. We are going to be alive in the way they have forgotten how to be. The ships left Earth with all the human soldiers, all the new weapons, all the clever tools that Hai-Jin and Nari had created. Young-Soo was on the main ship, thinking about strategy. Do-Yeon was there, ready for battle. Hai-Jin was there, with new weapons nobody had ever seen. Nari was there, with her special codes and her clever computer programs. When they arrived at Kepler Station, the council was shocked at how many humans had come. They had expected maybe 100 soldiers. Instead, there were thousands. They had expected simple weapons. Instead, there were machines that looked strange and worked in ways no one understood. The Velshara looked at the humans with confusion. The Kethori wondered why the humans had come. The Moran analyzed the human weapons and could not understand them. One Moran said to another, "What is this? These weapons do not follow normal patterns. How are we supposed to defend against them?" But there was no time to ask questions. The Void Collective was already at the gates of Kepler Station. In 1 hour, they would arrive. In 2 hours, the battle would begin. Kitaik stood next to Admiral Shekfor. The old Velshara looked down at him with surprise. "Your soldiers are very brave," Shekfor said, "but they will die. The Void Collective is unstoppable." Kitaik looked up at him. His eyes were calm and clear. "We are human," Kitaik said. "We adapt. We change. We think in ways you have forgotten how to think. Maybe you are right. Maybe we will die. But we will not die doing the same thing you have been doing." Shekfor did not understand, but he would understand soon enough. The alarm sounded. The Void Collective was coming. The black cloud of ships appeared on the scanners. The battle was about to begin, and no one, not even Ji-Won, knew if humanity could really stop them. But Ji-Won was ready. Her soldiers were ready, and they had something the old civilizations did not have. They had something to prove. They had the spirit of the young. They had the power of the unexpected. The battle was about to change everything. The battle started with the Void Collective coming from everywhere at once. Their ships were like black water flowing across space. The Council's main force attacked them from above with enormous power. The Velshara ships shot beams of pure light. The Marin ships launched weapons that moved at incredible speed. The Kethori collective consciousness controlled everything together in perfect order. But nothing worked. The Void Collective adapted in minutes. Where the light had destroyed them before, they now had dark shields. Where the speed weapons had worked, they now had faster ships. The Council's perfect order and perfect strategy meant nothing. The parasites changed every time. 30 minutes into the battle, the Council was already losing ships. 100 Maran vessels were destroyed. 50 Velshara fighters were gone. The Kethori collective mind was getting confused because the Void Collective moved in ways that did not follow any logic. Admiral Shekfor looked at his screens with despair. He turned to where the human officers were standing. He did not believe they could help, but he had no choice. "Please," Shekfor said to Ji-Won, "do something. Do anything." Ji-Won smiled. Her teeth showed. It was not a happy smile. It was the smile of someone who was about to do something dangerous. "Young-Soo," she said through her communication device. "Now." Young-Soo was in a small ship above the battle. He looked at all the screens showing the movement of the Void Collective. He saw their pattern, but it was not a pattern that made sense. It was a pattern that changed. It was chaos, and Young-Soo loved chaos. He had trained his mind to see the hidden order in chaos. He understood how things that looked random were actually made of tiny rules. He gave orders to all the human ships. The orders made no sense to anyone watching. "Attack the left side," he commanded. "No, wait. Move to the right. Now dive down at 45 degrees. Now go up. Now stay still for exactly 12 seconds. Now move at slow speed, then at fast speed, then at slow speed again." The Council commanders were confused. What was this nonsense? but they were too surprised to stop Young-Soo. And then something happened. The Void Collective began to make mistakes. Their adaptation was based on facing the same attack twice. But the humans were not attacking in patterns. They were attacking in ways that looked like mistakes. The parasites' evolutionary systems could not handle this. For the first time, the Void Collective was confused. Do-Yon led the human warriors into the chaos. They flew small, fast ships that moved like nothing in the galaxy had ever moved before. They did not attack the biggest enemy ships. Instead, they attacked the small ones. They did not follow the plan of the bigger battle. Instead, they made their own plan that changed every few seconds. One human warrior named Min Jun flew his ship straight toward a massive Void Collective destroyer. The Council thought he was crazy. The ship was 1,000 times bigger than his small fighter. But at the last second, Min Jun turned his ship sideways. He flew around the destroyer instead of into it. His weapons hit weak points that the Council's scanners had not noticed. The destroyer exploded. Around him, other human fighters did the same. They looked like they were dancing with the Void Collective ships. They moved in ways that seemed wrong. They attacked at angles that made no sense, but every attack worked because the parasites could not predict them. He-Jin's weapons were also changing. She had designed them to change their attack method every few minutes. The first time, they shot like normal weapons. The second time, they released a special gas that hurt the Void Collective. The third time, they sent energy pulses. The fourth time, they released thousands of small pieces that all moved differently. The Void Collective had never seen anything like this. They tried to adapt, but by the time they did, the attack was already different. It was like they were fighting a ghost. It was like they were fighting 1,000 different enemies at the same time. Nari was in the computer center on Kepler Station. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. She was writing codes that would enter the Void Collective's control systems. But these codes were not like normal computer codes. They had music in them. They had poetry in them. They had human art mixed with human logic. The Void Collective's collective mind received these codes and tried to understand them, but they could not. How do you defend against an attack that is also a song? How do you block a weapon that is also a poem? The code spread through their systems like water. They could not stop the spread because the spread did not follow any pattern. The parasite's collective mind began to break into pieces. Some of the Void Collective ships stopped moving. Some of them moved in the wrong direction. Some of them started attacking their own allies. The battle was turning, but the victory came with a price. 15 human ships were destroyed. 20 human warriors died. 30 more were injured. Min Jun, the warrior who had destroyed the massive destroyer, was hit by a piece of metal. He died instantly. He never knew he had won. Do-Yon saw Min Jun's ship explode. Her face became hard. She pushed herself to fly faster. She attacked harder. She would make sure Min Jun's death meant something. The Velshara saw what was happening. For the first time, they understood. These small, young humans were not weak. They were different. They were unpredictable. They were alive in a way the old species had forgotten. The Marin started following the human strategy instead of the Council strategy. They changed their attacks. They became less logical and more creative. And it worked. The Kethori collective mind split itself into smaller parts. Instead of thinking as one, they thought in smaller groups. This made them more able to handle the confusing attacks from the Void Collective. But still, the human soldiers paid the price. By the time the Void Collective was pushed back, 43 human warriors were dead. Another 70 were injured. The human force had lost almost half of its soldiers. Do-Yon sat in her ship. She was covered in cuts from the battle. Her hands were shaking, but she was alive. Around her, the human soldiers who survived were also still alive. They had done it. They had helped save the galaxy. But as Do-Yon looked at the empty spaces where her friends' ships used to be, she did not feel like celebrating. She felt the weight of death. She felt the sadness of losing people she had trained with and fought with. Ji-won received the final report. 100 human soldiers were dead. The Void Collective was retreating. They were moving away from Kepler Station. The immediate danger was passing. Ji-won allowed herself to cry for just a moment. Then she stopped. She had work to do. The council was completely silent. They had seen something they could not believe. They had seen the tiny, harmless humans save the galaxy. They had seen them do it in a way that was completely new and completely effective. Admiral HFY looked at the reports from the battle. He looked at the tactical reports that Young Soo had sent. He read about the weapons that Hai Jin had created. He understood what was written in Nari's computer codes, and he understood that the council had been wrong. The tiny and innocuous humans were not harmless at all. They were the future of the galaxy. And the future was already here. The Galactic Council chamber was full of silence when the members arrived. Usually they talked and moved around before the meeting started. Today, nobody was talking. Everyone was thinking about what had happened. Everyone was thinking about the humans. Ki-tak sat in the observation area with Min-hai. But this time, a new chair had been placed next to the main table. It was a chair for humans now. It was a seat at the real council. Ki-tak was told he could sit there. He stood and walked toward the table. He felt everyone watching him. The Velshara watched with their crystal eyes. The Keth Ori watched with their collective mind. The Marin watched with their scanning devices. When Ki-tak sat down at the council table, Min-hai felt tears start to fall. Not sad tears, happy tears. Admiral HFY stood up. The old crystal Velshara stood up in front of everyone. His voice was clear and strong. "We were wrong," HFY said. "We called the humans tiny and innocuous. We called them harmless. We refused them a seat at this table. We refused to believe they could be strong. But the humans showed us something we had forgotten." He looked directly at Ki-tak. "They showed us that being different is not weakness. They showed us that thinking in new ways is power. They showed us that being young can be an advantage, not a disadvantage. The humans saved the galaxy, not because they are like us, but because they are different from us." All the other council members stood up. It was a sign of great respect. It meant they agreed with HFY. It meant they understood the truth. A new vote was called. The vote was about giving humanity a full seat on the Galactic Council. The vote was about recognizing humans as a strategic equal. The vote was about apologizing for dismissing them. The vote was unanimous. Every single member said yes. "The Council accepts humanity as a full member," HFY announced. "And more than this, the Council asks for human leadership in our defense force. We ask humans to teach us how to think in new ways. We ask humans to be our partners in protecting the galaxy." Ki-tak felt his heart beating fast. This was what they had wanted, but not in the way they had expected. Not through military victory, but through being truly seen. Ji-won was offered the position of Deputy Commander of the Combined Galactic Forces. She accepted. The Maron general who held the main command position seemed sad about it, but he also seemed to understand. He had seen what the humans could do. He knew they deserved this position. Young Soo was asked to lead the Galactic Tactical Academy. Warriors and commanders from all the species would come to learn from him. They would learn about chaos and adaptability. They would learn to think in ways they had never thought before. Hai Jin was given control of the new weapons research department. Scientists from every species would work with her. They would learn that weapons did not have to be perfectly logical to be powerful. They would learn that creativity could change how they built their machines. Nari was asked to develop new communication systems between all the different species. She would teach them how to write codes that were beautiful and also effective. She would show them that art and science could be the same thing. Do-yeon received a message. She was asked to visit the council chamber. When she arrived, everyone stood up to honor her. She had been injured badly in the battle. Her arm was in a healing device, but she had led humans through chaos and made them shine. "What you did was brave," Shekfor said to Do-Yon, "but you also lost many of your soldiers." Do-Yon's face became sad. She thought of Min-Jun and all the others who had died. "Yes," she said quietly. 43 of my warriors did not come home." The whole chamber went silent. "We want to honor them," the Kethori collective said. "We want to build a memorial. We want all species in the galaxy to know what they did. They died so that we could live. That is the highest honor." Shekfor nodded. "A memorial will be built on every major world in the galaxy. The names of all the humans who died will be written in every language. Children will read their names and understand what it means to be brave." Do-Yon felt tears on her face. These ancient beings, who had dismissed humans as nothing, were now honoring the humans who had died. It was not enough to bring Min-Jun back. But it meant something. The memorial was built on Kepler Station. It was a beautiful structure made of materials from every species in the galaxy. The Velshara contributed crystal that held light forever. The Kethori contributed metal that showed moving images of the battle. The Marin contributed technology that let you speak the names of the dead and hear them echo back. On the day the memorial opened, thousands of beings came to see it. Humans and Velshara and Kethori and Marin all stood together and read the names of those who had died. Ketek stood with Min-Hai in front of the memorial. They read the name of Min-Jun, the warrior who had destroyed the massive ship and did not live to see the victory. They read the names of 42 other humans who had given their lives. "They were not tiny and innocuous," Min-Hai whispered. "No," Ketek said, "they were not." Back on Earth, the memorial was celebrated. People gathered in cities and towns and villages. They remembered their loved ones who had gone to the stars and not returned, but they also felt proud. Humans had changed the galaxy. Humans had proven themselves. In the government building on Earth, Ji-Won sat in her new office. She looked at the reports from the different species. The Velshara were starting to study improvisation and creative thinking. The Kethori were learning to split their collective mind and think as individuals sometimes. The Maran were starting to mix art with science in their machines. The galaxy was changing. It was becoming more alive. It was becoming more like humanity. An old Velshara scientist sent a message to Ji-Won. The message said, "Thank you for teaching us that being young is not a weakness. Thank you for teaching us that thinking differently is power. Thank you for showing us that we had forgotten how to truly live." Ji-Won read the message many times. She thought about Do-Yon's fallen soldiers. She thought about Young-Su's chaos. She thought about He-Jin's beautiful weapons. She thought about Nari's artistic codes. These humans had done something the galaxy had never seen before. They had taken their differences and made them into strength. They had taken their youth and made it an advantage. They had taken their creativity and made it powerful. The tiny, innocuous humans had not just saved the galaxy. They had shown it how to be alive again, and nothing would ever be the same.